Imagine realizing that the morning coffee you're drinking, the data you're using to scroll through this video, and the insurance policy protecting your car are all tied back to a handful of women you've probably never met. While the headlines are busy chasing the latest political drama, there is a silent sisterhood of billionaires and multimillionaires who have quietly mapped out the nation's future. And they own the terrain it's built on. But before we start counting their millions, we've got some business to handle. We're doing a massive giveaway for a $100 Amazon gift card when we hit 5,000 subscribers. If you want a shot at that prize, it's simple. Smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment letting us know which of these women you think has the ultimate boss energy. Now let's get into the deep end. We're moving past the obvious names and digging into the fresh power players and the hidden details of the empires that keep Zimbabwe's heart beating. Here are the 9 women who own Zimbabwe. 9. Karen Mutasa. If you want to understand the difference between having money and having taste, you look at Karen Mutasa. While some millionaires are busy buying tractors or negotiating mining rights, Karen has built an empire centered around the one thing the elite value more than anything else: the experience of being elite. In a city like Harare, where status is the ultimate currency, Karen is essentially the person printing the banknotes. Karen is a formidable force in the Zimbabwean hospitality and luxury lifestyle sector. She is a shareholder in Masawara plc, an investment behemoth that practically owns the Harare skyline, with interests in everything from Joiner City to the Cresta Hotels chain. But her personal crown jewel is the Skin Spa Group. This isn't just a place to get a facial. It is the unofficial headquarters for the wives, daughters, and CEOs of Zimbabwe's ruling class. If you're a high flyer and you aren't seen at her wellness spots, you're basically invisible in the social hierarchy. But her reach goes much deeper than expensive spa treatments. She is a partner at Nuance SSA, a major player in the high-end retail and distribution sector. If a luxury brand wants to set up shop or distribute high-ticket items in the SADC region, Karen is usually the gatekeeper they have to charm. She's also a trustee of Zimpact and the vice president of the Restaurant Operators Association of Zimbabwe, meaning she has a massive say in how the nation's hospitality industry is regulated and run. Why does she secretly own the country? Because she owns the lifestyle monopoly. While others are fighting over raw commodities, Karen has cornered the market on aspiration. She's the one who decides what luxury looks like, where the elite gather, and how they spend their leisure millions. Her wealth is sophisticated, highly diversified, and deeply embedded in a billion-dollar investment portfolio. She is the epitome of soft power, elegant, untouchable, and incredibly well-funded. Natu, Gloria Zvaravanhu. If money is the blood of the country, Gloria Zvaravanhu is the one monitoring the pulse. As the managing director of Old Mutual Insurance Zimbabwe, she oversees the biggest insurance portfolio in the nation. We're talking about billions of dollars in assets, property, and risk management. Gloria is a powerhouse accountant who was the second female president in the 100-year history of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Zimbabwe, ICAZ. She's the one the big players go to when they need to figure out how to protect their assets in an economy famous for its volatility. But it's her board positions that really reveal her reach. She's the chairperson of the Industrial Development Corporation of Zimbabwe, IDC, and a director for the Chengetedzai Depository Company. Essentially, if there's a major industrial project or a massive trade on the stock exchange, Gloria's fingerprints are on the paperwork. She is the ultimate difference maker, a woman who has mastered the art of making money work in a place where most people are just trying to find it. 7. Sekai Kuvarika. You might not see Sekai Kuvarika's face on a billboard, but if you own a factory, a mine, or a retail chain in Zimbabwe, she's basically your boss. As the CEO of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries, CZI, SECI is the ultimate gatekeeper between the private sector and the government. When the government wants to change currency or implement new trade policies, SECI is the one in the room explaining how that's going to affect every single loaf of bread and bag of cement produced in the country. She doesn't just lobby for business, she shapes the very environment businesses breathe in. She also sits on the board of the Old Mutual Investment Group, OMIG. For those who don't know, Old Mutual is the creme de la creme of Zimbabwean finance. They own half the city and manage a massive chunk of the nation's savings. When you have a seat at that table, you're not just an executive, you're an architect of the national economy. She's the quiet intelligence behind the gears of the country. 6. Marjorie Ngwenya. Marjorie Ngwenya is a woman whose power is measured in global influence. She made history as the first Zimbabwean to be elected president of the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, IFOA. While she is a global citizen, her impact on the Zimbabwean financial sector is profound through her high-level corporate governance roles. Marjorie is the one the Big Four banks call when they need to calculate risk in an economy that is the definition of unpredictable. She sits on the boards of major regional players, including Old Mutual Limited, and serves as a non-executive director for the Bank of England. Her wealth comes from high-level corporate governance, international consultancy, and strategic investments. In a country where currency values change by the hour, Marjorie is the one who understands the math behind the madness. She is the oracle who advises the billionaire class on how to hedge their bets. She manages the risk profile of the nation's biggest portfolios. And in the world of high finance, that is the ultimate leverage. 5. Professor Smelly Dube. If you want to see what industrial-scale wealth looks like in the Midlands, you look at Professor Smelly Dube. As the CEO of River Valley Properties, she hasn't just built houses, she has built entire suburbs. We're talking about thousands of homes in Gweru and Shurugwi that have transformed the face of urban Zimbabwe. But the deep dive info here is her expansion into the mining sector. Through Matavu Investments, she owns the Tabeki mine, a significant player in the gold sector. She has been recognized globally, receiving awards in London for being one of the top emerging African companies. Smelly Dube's wealth is hard asset wealth. She has taken the profits from land development and flipped them into gold and international real estate. She has recently been looking at markets in the UK and Australia, representing a transnational wealth strategy. She has mastered the triad of wealth, land, gold, and international diversification. We've talked about Securico before, but Dr. Divine Ndlukula has evolved her empire into something much more grounded and profitable. While she still runs the most successful indigenous security firm in the country, her fresh money is coming from the ground up. Divine is now the goat queen of Zimbabwe. Her Zvikomborero Farms in Featherstone isn't just a hobby, it's a high-precision, industrial-scale operation that has become the gold standard for beef and goat genetics in southern Africa. She is now exporting breeding stock and agricultural consultancy across the region. Her wealth is a fortress built on operational excellence. She employs over 4,000 people, making her one of the largest private employers in the nation. Her it factor is her ability to maintain international ISO certifications and a sterling corporate reputation in an economy where most businesses are struggling to stay afloat. She doesn't rely on political tenders, she relies on a business model so tight it could stop a bullet. If you want to know who is managing the new money of the state, you look at Dr. Chipo Mutasa. She's not just a corporate executive, she is the chairperson of the Mutapa Investment Fund. For those not following the local financial news, Mutapa is Zimbabwe's massive sovereign wealth fund that has swallowed up 20 of the country's biggest state-owned enterprises, from mining giants to the national airline. Chipo is the former managing director of Tel1, where she famously turned a struggling state telco into a formidable digital brand. Now she is the one overseeing the privatization and governance of the country's most valuable assets. She also chairs the board of Air Zimbabwe. While others are running private businesses, Chippo is essentially the landlord for the nation's industrial backbone. Her influence on the GDP is arguably higher than any other single executive in the country. In a globalized economy, you can't export a single gram of gold or a bag of tobacco without the stamp of the Standards Association of Zimbabwe, SAZ. At the helm of that gatekeeper is Eve Gadzikwa, but her wealth and power aren't just about government standards. Eve is a corporate boardroom veteran who has sat at the highest levels of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, ZSE, as its first female chairperson. Eve has managed to navigate the intersection of public policy and private enterprise for over 2 decades. She sits on the board of SADCAS, which regulates accreditation across the entire southern African region. When an international investor looks at Zimbabwe, Eve's signature is often the one that tells them if the country is open for business. She represents the governance elite, the people whose reputations are as valuable as their bank accounts. At the very top, we have the next generation of the Masiyiwa legacy. Elizabeth Tanya Masiyiwa is no longer just a board member at Econet and EcoCash. She is the CEO of Akelo, a digital education powerhouse that is reshaping how millions of African children learn. While the older generation focused on the physical network, Elizabeth is owning the data and the education of the future. She is also heavily involved in Cassava Technologies' massive $720 million plan to build a network of AI factories across the continent by 2026. She sits on the board of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's initiatives and is being groomed to manage a multi-billion-dollar family office. Which of these women's stories inspired you the most? Drop your comments below and don't forget to subscribe for your chance to win the $500 Amazon gift card. I'll be back with more deep dives into the people who really run your world. Peace.